Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Tech Empowered. This is a podcast where we share real stories of people whose lives have been transformed by technology across Africa and beyond. This podcast is brought to you by Tech for Dev, a non-profit organization creating opportunities for economic prosperity through digital skills empowerment and advocacy. I am your host, Yemisi, and as always, I'm glad to be here. You can't become what you haven't dared to pursue. To achieve any dream or goal, you have to be intentional about chasing it. And with the right mindset and determination, you can learn, grow, and transform not just your career, but your life as a whole. Our guest today is someone who started her tech career from the ground up. Ishe Hove is a Women Techsters Fellowship alumna who studied accounting and finance. She had zero background in tech, but everything changed when she joined the Women Techsters Fellowship in the data science and AI learning track. And this decision became her turning point. Today, she's not just working in tech, she's also teaching it. As a data science and AI instructor at a vocational college, Hove has spent the last 2 years helping learners grow from complete beginners to confident and competent professionals. But let's not give too much away. We're going to meet her shortly. She'll share her story with us. She'll tell us how she made the leap, the mindset shifts that she had to embrace, and what it really takes to go from knowing nothing about tech to teaching it. So grab a seat, grab a favorite drink, and let's get into it. Hello, Ishe. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite all right. Thank you.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Let's get to meet you. Tell us a bit about yourself. What's your background like? And what makes you tick?
All right. My background, well, you pretty much covered most of it, but my professional and academic background, I did an undergraduate degree in accounting and finance. I think I was 19 at the time when I graduated, so I still hadn't figured out what I wanted to do with my life, so I was still in discovery mode. And then on the advice of my parents, particularly also because of the job market in the country I was in, because we migrated from Zimbabwe to Botswana, so it was a little bit of a challenge getting employed straight after my undergraduate degree as a foreigner. So I immediately started a master's of commerce in accounting, and I did that for 2 years. And I think at the time when I graduated, I was around 21. And then I came back into Botswana, but the situation was still the same in terms of pushes for indigenous people to be priority when it comes to trainings, internships, and the job market. So I couldn't exactly get straight into an audit or accounting firm to validate the skills I had acquired at undergrad and master's level. So I started my very first official job as a 23-year-old by being a lecturer in accounting and finance. I did that for about a year, but I felt like I hadn't quite arrived at the place I wanted to. It was still discovery mode. It's like I was still searching, I guess, for my guy. So after lecturing accounting and finance for a year, I then got really lucky, and I got an internship opportunity, and I had about 8 to 9 months experience working for a big four audit firm. But again, the experience was amazing. It's changed a lot about how I see the world, learning corporate culture properly for the first time, because that was my first time being engaged in a proper corporate, learning corporate culture. And then COVID-19 happened, and this is around 2020, if not 2021. Yeah. So we had massive lockdowns in Botswana for a significant amount of that year in 2021. So I
Mm.
started thinking about my career because a lot of people were being retrenched from a lot of companies, and I also hadn't felt like I've quite found what I really want to do with my life. But that COVID-19 pivoted my career change because I was like, what if we never get to leave our houses for the next 2 years? How
Mm.
do I make money? Right now, even I'm on internship. The job market is not very secure here. And usually when there's like, problems in a country and you're a foreigner, you usually
Mm.
are the first one to go. So I started thinking a lot about that.
Yeah.
That's when I
Mm-hmm.
decided, okay, let me just Google and see what's out there. I just started searching careers for women in tech. And then that's how I bumped into the Tech for Dev Fellowship, the data science and AI. And I had no background whatsoever in technology. I think the closest thing I had done related was probably in high school, which was probably 6 years or 7 years prior, an ICT course, but I had never
Mm.
really learned to program in any language. So this was my very, very first experience learning Python, learning SQL, and it was a
Mm.
very difficult learning curve. I think I was lost for half the program, but yes, I accord my journey to a lot of perseverance because I persevered through, and then I was now one of the Tech for Dev Fellows, Data Science and AI
Mm.
by 22 March. That's when I completed the program. And I was like, okay, let's not stop here. Let's further validate our skill set and do some self learning to just reconcile everything we've been learning throughout
Mm.
the entire year. So I subscribed for further certifications with Data Camp and with
Mm.
World Quant University, applied
Mm.
scientific computing in Python, doing project-based learning as well. So that really solidified my journey, especially with the foundation I'd gotten from Tech for Dev. And then from there, again, at the time, AI and data science were not buzzwords in Southern Africa, particularly in Botswana, the region I was in,
Mm.
because I remember trying to apply for jobs locally here, and they'll either be like, okay, what is data science? What's AI? Because it wasn't a thing back then
Yeah.
than it
As
is now. So
like
I
it is now.
struggled
Yes,
again.
it's everywhere
Yeah,
now. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I struggled getting proper employment, standard employment here. Plus, also when you are trying to like break into the job market and your journey is unconventional, you also kind of meet challenges of conventionality because now
Mm-hmm.
when you're applying for positions in tech, they'll be like, but where's your computer science degree? Yes, we see your
Yeah.
certificate. They're
You have to
great,
prove
but
yourself. Mm-hmm.
where's the degree? So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, the world is a global village. Because of COVID-19, COVID-19 made the world even more a global village than it was. So my first form of employment and experience working in data science and AI was with an online apprenticeship with a company or organization called Hex.ai. Back then, we were doing projects related to natural language processing and sentiment analysis. And then I also got another apprenticeship with Africa Code Academy, where we were applying artificial intelligence to farming projects. And I think from there, I started also getting experience by getting projects in digital transformation as a data science consultant, where I would be engaged with an organization for a period of 3 months or 6 months, evaluating their systems, their data, and its readiness for AI adoption and where they are in the phase of digital transformation. So I got to do projects like that and even project management for software development teams because I also worked for a real estate startup that was trying to adopt AI into its systems to supercharge its products. But officially, because of my previous teaching experience, because I come from a background of educators. So I think I've been teaching since I was 15 in high school. Mathematics, I was quite good at it. So I kind of had that in my alley. So my very first, I could say, paying engagement was as an instructor of data science and AI with an organization called Career Era, which had a branch in the US and in India as well. So I was now teaching Indians how to code and Python, a girl who knew nothing about that 2 years ago. So that was pretty interesting because I would learn to teach sometimes, because not like I had learned everything, but it kind of improved my learning curve to make it much more speedier. And the students would actually understand what I'm talking about. So I realized, okay, I seem to be having a knack for being an educator in the data science and AI space. Shortly after that, I encountered a wonderful organization called EdTech Africa Innovation College, which is actually based in Botswana. It wasn't a remote job. So this was like now here in the region I was in. And they were looking for a data science and AI instructor because they had not been teaching the program before. They are a digital skills empowerment organization. So I was their very first data science and AI instructor. I helped them build the curriculum from scratch. And then I had the first pilot students and I was with them for about 2 years. And in the middle of that, I wanted to give back to my community as well. So I also started a community data science and AI community hub Botswana, where I engaged in projects of empowering others, mentoring, teaching, not just data science and AI, but also responsible AI. So that has been pretty much my journey, although now I've gotten a new passion, which is not just like based on the technical side of data science and AI. I'm very passionate about conversations around AI governance right now, AI ethics and policy, because now it's beyond just looking at what AI can do for innovation or industry disruption. Now we have to think in our using of these systems, we have to ensure safety measures that people are not harmed in the process, and now thinking conversations around regulation. And I'm currently a researcher in that. I volunteer with the AI Accountability Lab as a researcher. The AI Accountability Lab is based in Dublin, Ireland. I met a very wonderful mentor called Dr. Abiba, who agreed to take me under her wing as a volunteer. So that's also currently some of the work that I'm doing. Yeah, and I'm very active in the Botswana tech community with other organizations like Deep Learning Indaba X Botswana that are sponsoring machine learning and AI emancipation in Africa by doing annual conferences and community gatherings. So yeah, that's my journey. That's where I am right now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for giving us that very deep dive into what your journey has been like so far. And it's so impressive that, coming from a non-tech background and you have been able, and there's something that I've noticed from your journey so far is how, the steps that you have taken have been sort of like incremental, right? So you start learning, and then from learning, you interned, and then you decided to start teaching. As you were teaching, you were learning also. And then now you're now in a place where initially it was difficult breaking into like the tech scene in Botswana, especially with data science and AI. And then now you're sort of like a lot more entrenched within that community and that space. It's really impressive. Well done. Okay, so do you have like any standout experiences that you had during the fellowship? Like, was there like a turning point for you?
Experiences that stand out? Well, maybe I'll speak about two of them. One of my top experiences was when we were doing group projects where we were encouraged to now partner with the other ladies doing other tracks, like those doing software development and
Mm-hmm.
project management and cybersecurity. We were put into groups according to our skill set and what we had learned across the journey of that 1 year fellowship. So
Yeah.
me and my teammates, we built a solution around, I think we were trying to build an app, some kind of safety, security application that women and girls could use to speedily report incidences of harm or assault or harassment, and then they would quickly get assistance in terms by
Mm.
the local police. So I think that building that solution and all of us now bringing the skills that we had learned to try and apply them into solving a real life problem, it opened my eyes to what technology can do in terms of social impact and impacting the
Mm.
community. And I think it was a great experience that the first project was a project that could be used for social good. And I think that really shaped how I looked at technology in terms of its usage, not just from the perspective of a techno solutionist, but from somebody who sees whatever tool is available as something that can enhance human lives. So I think that
Mm.
really built a very good foundation for me, which is probably why I ended up in the AI governance and ethics space. So that was one
Mm.
experience. The other one was also a different project, but this one was my personal idea that I love so much, and I hope to be able to properly implement it one day. We're building a fintech advisory project idea, even a website, and tried to also like build a database that is connected to that as well. Basically, where we do advanced financial analytics to solve everyday people's business problems, provide
Problems. Mm-hmm.
investment decisions to individuals or to small medium companies. So it was really interesting to also be able to build projects like that, build reporting projects, and learn how to communicate your ideas as a technologist to stakeholders, because we
Mm.
also got to do presentations. So that was
Presentations.
really,
Yeah.
really amazing. Yeah.
Looking back on your journey so far, what would you say has been like your biggest either personal or professional transformation since entering the tech space?
My biggest personal transformation. Uh, well, transformation is a big word. Maybe you can kind of give me more clarity on what you're thinking.
So it can be a personal or professional, maybe like an experience that has sort of like really astounded you so far. Maybe you just look back and you're like, wow, I think this is amazing. I didn't even think that I would be able to do this, when I started 3, 4 years ago. Like like an experience like that.
Okay. I don't know if this is a change, but I think it's more of an experience.
Mm.
So I think was it earlier this year, I got called to do a training, a corporate training for women in journalism NGO. So I was basically training journalists on AI tools and how to use AI
Mm.
safely and ethically in terms of their work, and kind of like just building from the grassroots, because AI is something that's now disrupting several industries and it's even
Industries. Yeah.
influencing journalism. So I led a training, a workshop on that, and
Mm.
also spoke about policy creation around AI usage for newsrooms and media houses. And
Mm.
they really, really appreciated that training and my ability to communicate ideas of AI to different fields such as journalism. That workshop
Mhm.
was actually featured in the newspaper. And I feel like for me it was like a revelation to say I didn't see myself being able to do stuff like that 4 years ago.
Mm.
I didn't think I would grow in the data science and AI field enough in the span of 4 years to now be called a trainer who can train corporates, who can train different people of different skills and understanding levels to be able to communicate ideas at that point. So that really kind of brought in, oh wow, I didn't think I'd be able to do this. And it kind of highlighted my journey and growth in terms of the space. Yeah.
So now, what advice would you give to someone who is coming from a non-tech background, and probably they're not even sure what they want to do, or they're scared to make that change or to transition into tech? What advice would you give to someone like that?
Okay, someone from a non-tech background, or okay, trying to figure out their career, and because there's so many options, and maybe even the fear and the anxiety that comes with the big jump. I think the difference with my experience slightly before I launch into the advice is because of the circumstances that we're obtaining at that time, a worldwide pandemic, I was forced to think about the future and make a big jump because I was thinking sustainability. I was thinking, how can I be relevant? How do I ensure that I have a job in 2 years or in 3 years or some kind of a source of income? But my advice then would be, first of all, don't fear change. I think that's the biggest one, because for me, taking that deep dive into a completely unfamiliar territory, it brought a lot of growth and empowerment that I did not anticipate before I started. So I think as a beginner, you should never be afraid to be a beginner and to be completely clueless at something, because that's how world geniuses are born, and people who become renowned practitioners and experts in their field, they all started from not knowing. And I know it can be very challenging, especially in my experience, where now you're in a space you came into not by very conventional pathways, and now you're competing with people who did study IT, who did study computer science for jobs, for opportunities. It can be scary to start from scratch, but do it anyways. Sometimes with just enough dedication and faith in what you're doing, you can end up in very good places. I always think that once you have made up your mind about what you want to do, somehow it feels like life channels itself to help you out. Seeing how determined you are, you attract the right opportunities that help you grow because you have a vision, and it's like everything that's coming together to build that. So that's what part of my advice. But my second part of my advice is maybe be prepared to do hard things. I think the greatest, let me just call it false information, is thinking that changing paths or doing something new is going to be easy. It's obviously going to come with the challenges. It's not going to be a straight and narrow path. Oftentimes you have to convince people why they have to give you a chance, and you need to look determined enough. And obviously you're going to have imposter syndrome, but you need to just navigate that field with a lot of faith in what you're doing and expect the challenges. That way, when they come, you don't get discouraged and be like, yeah, this was a mistake. I should have never done this. So I think that's my advice. Be willing to start from scratch, to not know, and to pursue knowledge. But above all, pursue good mentors. There's nothing that grounds you like having people to look up to, who you can have conversations with, that can assure you that you're not being crazy. What you're pursuing is valid, and there's a future in this. So I think also seeking quality mentorship will make a big difference for your journey, especially if you've kind of identified which direction you want to go. Yeah.
Fantastic. Do not be afraid to be a beginner. I think people just feel like, oh, change is scary, but Clarity comes from doing. I think I've learned that personally. When you make up your mind and you go for it, the picture gets clearer. And I think I got that also from your story when you mentioned how now you're sort of like looking at doing more work around, or you're presently doing more work around AI, regulation, ethics, and all of that. If you hadn't gotten into data science and AI, I don't think you would have been able to get to this point where you are now considering, oh, what are the other things I can do? And then the picture gets a bit clearer, right? So once you get into it, the picture gets clearer. And yeah, like you said, I strongly believe in the fact that if you put your mind to something and you start making steps and moves in that direction, life just aligns, and then you begin to see opportunities around you that you didn't even see before. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Lastly, tell us a fun fact about yourself.
Okay, one fun fact is that I'm incredibly diverse. In fact, the nickname I give myself is multiversant professor. But maybe that's also a superpower that comes with being a little bit neurodivergent. Or the ADHD
Nice.
superpower is that you do everything, master of all type of thing.
Oh, well,
So
yeah.
because of that, I sing, I play the keyboard. I'm an author as well. I published my first book last year. It's available on
Oh, wow.
digital platforms and as an audiobook. And I'm a poet. Everything artistic that people can do, I do it. That's my
Interesting.
fun fact. Yeah.
Fantastic. What's the name of your book? In case anybody listening wants to
Okay.
check it out.
The name of my book, this will be interesting because people always raise eyebrows. um, it's
I
actually
can't wait
called,
to hear this.
it's called Deborah's Letters to Barack, 28 Conversations, a young man's rites of passage to manhood. So it's basically like a tool for how to
Interesting.
raise a young man. And yeah, that's why I always like 10 heads, because they're like, what do you know? But basically it
What?
was an adaptation of a Bible story of this woman called Deborah, who was mentoring a young man called Barak, who was afraid to go into battle. So she gave him a lot of encouragement to kind of understand who he is in God and his purpose. So it kind of takes that shape and then speaks around conversations that are needed for young men, like things like emotional regulation, speaking of abuse from the perspective of a boy child, and just basic principles for how to do manhood better in the 21st century. That is, yeah, filtered with a lot of nuanced conversations around the subject. So, yeah, that's the book. Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow, I would never in a million years have guessed that would be it. I was even going to think, I was thinking we didn't say, oh, maybe something fictional, maybe like you wrote a story or a collection of poems. But wow, that's really cool. Well done. Definitely going to look out for that. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today. It was really lovely having this conversation with you.
Thank you, Yomisi. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Your journey is so impressive, and I will just say well done so far. And I wish you all the best as you progress and as you continue to go on this track that you have chosen. And then, even as life continues to take you into different fields. And I just hope that you continue to shine brightly, and we're really rooting for you. We're happy about your progress so far, and we know that you're going to continue to do great things. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to our episode today. Isha's story is one of transformation, even if she thinks that transformation is such a big word and she doesn't think that that describes her story, but it is, starting from scratch, knowing nothing about tech, and then being able to build a career and the journey that she has built so far. We're really proud of her story. And if this story has inspired you or resonated with you, or you have learned something new today, don't forget to subscribe, share with someone who needs just a little nudge, just a little push, or who is unsure about their next step. Who knows? This might be what they need to hear today. And till next time, keep learning, keep growing, and remember that you can learn anything if you're determined and focused. Bye for now. See you next time.